Dunwoody police officer is out of the hospital tonight just 36 hours after he was dragged by a car along Interstate 285. Newly released dash cam video shows just how close a call it was for Officer Nathan Daley. And we want to warn you that this is pretty hard to watch here, folks. You can see Officer Daley and a fellow officer talking to the driver. They pulled the person over Ashford Dunwoody Road. That's right at Interstate 285. It happened yesterday. When the car starts to pull away, the Officer Daley, grabs on. Soon he's hanging on for dear life, half in the window, half outside that window as the car speeds down the interstate. The driver guns it onto other cars. The ramp then suddenly swerves, as you can see right there, nearly hitting a van. Officer Daley is hurled into traffic, and the suspect is caught soon after. Now, Dunwoody police say that they originally stopped Derek Simpson for texting and driving. Now he's facing a handful of charges. And tonight, for the very first time, folks, we're getting to see and hear from Officer Daley. Now, it's going to take some time for him to recover, but there is nothing wrong with his funny bone.
It doesn't, well, it does look as bad as it feels, but you know me, I will bounce back 10 times stronger. Little knick-knack. I love you guys. Thank you so much for your support. And I accept donations in the form of sweets, cookies, chocolate chip cookies, cupcakes with sprinkles, vanilla, or red velvet. Yeah, so first, let me just say thank you. It is an honor. It's a pleasure to be here. When you reached out, I was super excited. I always find it very fascinating when people, you know, they take an interest to the lives of others and wanting to kind of dive deeper into, you know, what makes people tick and kind of look where their journey has taken them. So
Yes.
To be able to share my story is definitely a privilege and an honor. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much. And this is exactly why I do this platform. Through this journey, I feel like every story will help and every story will heal.
Absolutely.
And I love stories because that's how I feel like I got through all my hardships, is hearing others people's stories and how they got through it. So
Absolutely.
as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh my God, I would love to chat with him just to, you know, hear what happened and how you got through it and the Blue Phoenix that you started afterwards.
Absolutely. So let me give you a little background. So I've been in law enforcement for about 13 years now. And I started back in 2006. It's actually where I met Dre. Me and Dre were in the same academy together. And so I've been doing policing for a long time, worked in a lot of different capacities, really enjoy the job. I love serving people, love helping others and things like that, saving lives, beating up criminals, the whole 9 yards, right? And so, you know, fast forward over time, you know, we know the relationship with law enforcement and even within this country, even more specifically within the Black community, the minority community, there is a lot of tension.
Yes.
And so because of that tension, you have people who sometimes they are doing something wrong, sometimes they're not doing something wrong, but that interaction between law enforcement and a citizen of color tends to become sometimes volatile. And they do things, you know, they're reckless, or they do things out of fear. And sometimes they don't cooperate. And next thing you know, things turn into something bigger than it has to be. That has been very consistent throughout my career as I've policed within the Black community. So I'm not a stranger to that, you know, relationship. And I'm gonna add on why that's important as we kind of go 2019, August 1st, 2019, I was conducting a traffic stop on a subject who was driving and using the cell phone. Here in Georgia, we have a law where you cannot drive and use the phone for a lot of reasons. That we've had a lot of fatalities due to that. People FaceTiming and driving, Snapchatting and driving, the whole 9 yards. And so the law was passed. So they are really pushing us to enforce the law. And in most cases, give warnings, right? Just to kind of let people know that this law exists and that we want to cut down on texting and driving on the phone and things of that nature. And so saw a guy, we're in the on the road. He's, you know, he has his phone. He's so involved in his phone that he doesn't even realize that traffic had already drove off, right? So he's sitting in the middle of the street on his phone, his head down. And mind you, my patrol car, it's a giant SUV, has the police right on it. I'm right next to him.
And he
And
didn't
I'm
even see
looking
you.
down, and he didn't even see me. That's how
Wow.
distracted he was
Wow.
in his phone. So of course, traffic, the light's green. He's stuck for a good few seconds, and then he finally drives off. So I'm like, cool. Well, go ahead and pull him over, and, for the hands-free violation. And so
Mhm.
I pulled him over, got to talking to him, and I identified an odor of marijuana coming from the vehicle.
Mhm.
One thing led to another. I'm asking to exit the vehicle, and he refused. And I reached in, and as I was reaching in, he put the car in drive and floored it. And I
Oh.
wasn't able to pull myself out of the vehicle in time. I felt my legs kind of dragging on the road.
Yeah.
Had to jump up and hold on to the car because I felt like I was being. It's weird. It's a weird feeling
Yeah.
where you feel like your body is being pulled while you're trying to hold on at the same time.
Yeah.
And these things, happen so quick. So as he drove off, I jumped up, not even realizing it, almost kind of like a secondary reaction.
Mhm.
Before I realized that my brain was able to process it, I was like, damn, we are driving, at a high rate of speed.
Yeah.
So he drove off with me holding on to the vehicle. And I was afraid to let go for obvious reasons. If I let go in that moment, there are other cars behind me and things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, the car was going into oncoming traffic, just
That's
so
correct.
everybody knows, oncoming traffic.
The vehicle, he drove onto the on-ramp
Mhm.
to the interstate.
Yeah.
So while he's doing that, I'm hanging outside the window. He's speeding down the ramp, trying to merge onto the highway.
Mhm.
And while he's doing that, he starts ramming me against other vehicles
Into a
as he's
truck.
passing by.
Yep.
Yep.
Mhm.
And so I think two vehicles, and then lastly, a white van that was on the interstate. He just guns directly towards it. For those who know, when when you're supposed to you have what they call the gore, that area that separates you from merging on to the interstate.
Yeah.
Well, he just ran through that, right? Like he
Mhm.
just cut through that and went immediately onto the interstate.
Yeah.
I ended up hitting the van while it was in motion,
Oh my God.
and I was ejected from the vehicle, and
Yeah.
I landed on the asphalt.
Yeah.
I went completely unconscious. Yep. And um the entire right side of my body,
Yeah.
I struck my head on the asphalt, which opened up a large gash over my eye.
Mhm.
Had lacerations on my head.
Mhm.
Um, I suffered a lot of damage to my body. By the grace of God, I didn't break anything,
Yeah.
but I tore a lot of ligaments and things like that in my shoulder. I had some fractures in my lower back and my foot, my hip,
Mhm. Mhm.
and so there was a lot of injury.
Yeah.
I was taken to the hospital immediately, as you can imagine.
Mhm.
They did all their scans and drugged me up really well,
Yeah.
and found out I didn't break any bones per se, but I had a lot of internal
Mhm.
damage, as you can imagine.
Mhm. Did you have
Um,
internal bleeding too in places?
no, so that was the thing. No internal bleeding.
Thank
They're
God.
concerned about my brain swelling. So it was like
Yeah.
that was the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Because the injury to my head was very bad.
Yeah.
But I have a very hard head. And I think I don't know, maybe my brain doesn't go to all the way to the skull because it was good. The brain was good.
Yeah, but it was
So
secure. There was some
it was
cushion there.
secure, good. There's a lot of cushion in there.
I'm glad you can still find humor in this because I saw the video and I saw you talking to the news people,
Hmm.
telling them the donations that they can give. So I'm glad you
Yeah.
still have humor even in this crazy situation.
Yeah, I've always been a person with good spirit.
Hmm.
A lot of that I lean on my faith for that. Family, seen so much throughout this profession and just throughout life
Hmm.
that I'm a very grateful, humble person.
Yeah.
And even in that moment, I realized that I was still alive, and it's not to say that I didn't have or did not suffer through the depression and things like that.
Hmm.
As things start to settle in, you start really getting it. But in the moment, I was like, man, I'm alive,
You're like on adrenaline.
that too, that
Mhm.
too. So the drugs had me high as a space cadet.
So when
High.
did you? So you were unconscious. When did you wake up? Did you wake up like in the ambulance in the hospital?
No, I actually woke up on the ground.
Mhm.
I had everybody crowded around me, which was
Mhm.
crazy. a lot of the citizens who were driving on the interstate actually stopped their cars and got out and were stopping traffic.
Well, thank God that traffic
Yep.
stopped and that traffic,
Yes.
you know what I mean? Like that you didn't get run over by a car when all of that was happening.
You know, and it's funny you say that because the white van stopped maybe like 3 feet from me,
Yeah.
you know, and we're talking those who know 285 out here in Georgia where you're doing 80 miles an hour like any other highway, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
And
exactly.
to be able to stop, for those who haven't seen the video, maybe you probably put the link at the bottom for them to watch, but the van stops like maybe 3 feet from.
I know, like literally, he could have
Yep.
just run you over, you know,
Yes.
because it's going into freaking major
Yep.
highway. Mhm.
Yep. Yep. So they stopped traffic. Everybody got out. Everybody was consoling me, trying to wake me up, and I slowly kind of came to my senses. And
Mhm.
even in that moment, someone had asked me about it recently, like, what was it like, you know?
Yeah,
And I was like, you know that feeling when you wake up in the morning
yeah,
and there's like a few seconds where you just don't realize anything,
yeah. Or like what day it is.
what day it is, like
Yeah,
you're just this
yeah,
complete sense of obliviousness. Like that's what
mhm,
it feels like. You're waking up and you don't, for the first 5 seconds, nothing is processed.
yeah,
And then you slowly start to realize, oh shit, I'm late to work. Oh, you know,
yeah,
like,
yeah. Like, oh shit, I'm in the middle of the highway. Like,
right, right.
like,
And I had
oh
that moment.
shit.
I had a oh shit. Oh, how'd I? Oh, I forgot I'm a cop. Oh, I
Yeah,
forgot I was trying to. And
yeah,
then everything started to slowly rush. And then
yeah,
as that consciousness came through,
yeah.
so did the pain. The pain started to come
Oh
through as
yeah.
well. And they're
Mhm,
like, hey, can you get up? I'm like, yeah, yeah. And I tried to move and I couldn't move.
mhm.
I couldn't move my arm. I couldn't stand up. I started feeling the pain. The pain was so severe.
Yeah,
I was like, I can't move. And in that moment, you're thinking like, oh my God, did I break something? Did I break a spine? Because
yeah,
I can't move, you know? And
yeah,
so that was a scary feeling. And they're like, don't worry, don't move, don't do anything. Cause they don't know either. Like, is my neck injured, you
yeah,
know, or whatever. So they were able to take me to the hospital. The traffic was so bad that they had to actually take me because the ambulance couldn't. Just did. My
oh, the offices. Okay.
Yeah, we have large trucks, so they're able to lay me in long
Mhm.
way. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, and so that was one of the concerns was like, well, we need to get him because the
Mhm.
traffic is backed up so bad. There's
Yeah,
absolutely, and then of course they had that's considered like a crime scene at that point too.
yeah, yeah.
So they weren't gonna just allow people to just continue to drive through. So it was madness, as you can
That was
imagine.
madness. And then I saw like, so you on the ground, and then later on I see the footage where they were trying to apprehend him, and he gets
Mhm.
out of the car and starts running.
Yeah, so apparently he wrecked. I think he hit maybe 3 or 4 cars trying to get away.
Mhm.
And he damaged his vehicle so bad that when the vehicle eventually couldn't drive anymore because all the airbags deployed,
Mhm.
so he had to climb out of
Oh,
the back window or the back door or something
yeah.
like that. That's how mangled up his vehicle was
Wow.
trying to get away.
Mhm.
My one of my coworkers ended up catching him. Mm,
Crazy.
Crazy,
Crazy.
crazy.
Like like he runs away,
Yep.
and you know, the thought comes to mind of like, what is he running away from besides hurting you? What is
Right.
he running away from? Like, is he hiding something else? Did he commit a murder? Did he do this? Like,
Mhm.
what is he hiding that is so severe for him to run away from the incident and the situation now? Because you're leaving a crime scene at this
Yep.
point.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that's always like a very conversation that's very contentious with people like, oh, you know, people run away, just let them go. And it's like, you can say that until you have a family member that's been, you know, severely hurt or victimized or even killed. In
Mhm.
some cases, sexually assaulted by a suspect, and they don't want to stop for the police, right? You just don't know. I've chased after plenty of people, and when I tell you, they always have a reason to run, right?
Mhm.
There's always, it's not just, oh, I'll run because I don't want to deal with the cops.
Yeah.
No, there's something that they're doing, have done, or about to do.
Yeah.
If I've arrested several people who are wanted for murder,
Yeah.
and if I would have just let them run away, because guess
Yeah.
what? Maybe, yeah, we can always say someone else will catch them, but maybe not, you know,
Yeah.
maybe they hurt someone else in between time. And so, yeah, in his particular case, he had a car full of drugs.
Mhm.
He had a weapon in the car he wasn't supposed to have.
Mhm.
And, you know, of course, he has a long criminal history. And so, of course, he's looking like, okay, well, I'm not trying to go back type of thing. Right.
Mhm.
But yeah, he had a lot of different drugs in the car and he knew he was going to go to jail, you know? And so, yeah, he had a reason. Uh,
Mhm.
but then, of course, now you can say he made the situation 100 times worse because now he's
Yeah.
looking at almost 30 years in prison behind
Yeah,
that.
he's leaving a crime scene and he hurt he hurt you. He could
Yep.
have killed you. You could
Yep.
have got run over. Like there was so many other things. But
Yep.
yeah, like running probably is not the best idea if you've already
Never.
done all of this already. Like
Yep.
now it's just making the situation worse.
Absolutely. I have a